everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is Jay Hone, your Christian life and relationship coach. And today we are joined with Jeremiah, my brother. And Valentine's Day just passed. And so you know how it is. Everybody gets all booed up. But there are people who don't have that person. So my question today is, what do you do when God doesn't want you to be with the person that you're with? Or, like I said in the previous post or chat, or I forgot what it's called, but we're just gonna go with it. What I said previous is about how when you pray about something and God doesn't give you the person. So my question to you, Jeremiah, is how do you handle when you really like somebody? You feel like this is the person, but God says no.
How I handle it is I again give it to God and trust that God knows what's best for me. He knows me better than I know myself. And obviously when it comes with relationships, it gets tricky because our feelings get in the way. The Bible says that our hearts are deceitfully wicked above all things, right? Who can know it? Who can trust it? So we can deceive ourselves with our emotions because that's what leading us is it's feelings. It's, oh, this feels nice. This is, lovey dovey, and not from a wider lens, which, God usually does. He looks at, the deep things of the heart, and stuff that, ultimately matters, in a relationship. So even though it still may hurt, I trust, in the end, God is, going to, get me through. He always has and he always will. So yeah.
And I think it's also the flesh part because like the spirit be like, I understand God knows what's best, but the flesh is like, Lord, I'm tired of being single. Lord, like the way that person made me feel. What is it about it that you feel like you should take away or not be with? Um, I guess for people, it's just more of being, I was gonna say the spirit and the flesh, because like
Mm-hmm.
we kind of know that like God knows what's best for us, but then like when you really really like somebody, you're like, well, why don't you see this? This is the best. But in the previous, the previous, why do I keep on saying channel? Is
Episode.
episode? There you go. I was gonna say in there.
Mm-hmm.
In the previous episode, we talked about this, and Jeremiah, have you ever experienced it where you liked somebody and you prayed about it and God said no?
Yeah, there's actually a few times, but
Do you want to share what how did you feel like uh
mm-hmm,
walk us through that mental state? Because again, I said it's the spirit and the flesh, right? Like it's like
mm-hmm.
can you tell me what your flesh was talking about and then your with your spirit?
Uh, well, I think for this specific situation, I believed it was from God. So it's a different thing when
That one.
where there's situations where
Mm.
I've had being at the gym crushes, but it's obviously okay. This person's probably not saved. Like it's a long shot. That's not gonna
I
work.
be thinking that way too.
Um, even God works in mysterious ways. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just one of those things where you put yourself in a tough situation, and the Bible says to already not be unequally yoked. But for this particular situation, it was one where I was praying about you know finding this person, as I was going to this conference, and this person directly wasn't even who I was looking for. I was thinking it was going to be someone else. And then, she kind of just, plopped there. It was one of those things where I didn't even have to try and be like, try to get her attention and get to know her. It's kind of just like she just, you know, came to me. So yeah, I was thinking it was God. And as I kept praying about it, um, more opportunities came to get to know her. So I was thinking like, okay, like, the more and more you see stuff like that, you're thinking like, okay, yeah, this is from God then. And um, ultimately, obviously, long story short, it didn't end up working out. So it does leave you like, okay, was that even God in the first place? Like, what was all that? Um, so even with that, it's still you give it to God still, because the enemy wants to use that to either get you to sin or to turn against God and be like, oh, well, see, you can't trust in
Yeah,
Him,
that was the goal of the enemy, right?
right?
To cause you to doubt.
Uh huh. And to go back to right, God working in mysterious ways, it's God's timing is perfect. So even with that situation, I who knows? I leave it up to God. Is basically how I'll say it. It's not even that. It's no. It could be. Not right now. It could be. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, God God knows, because you could just fall for the wrong things. I could just fall because she's pretty and on the outside and looking and can look spiritual and say all these things, but behind closed doors it can be a totally different situation. And God is trying to protect me from that. Or you can be unequally yoked in a sense of even spiritually, like where you are in your walk and where someone else is, and it's just not two things that will align. And sometimes God also answers those prayers to help you to see that as well.
Yeah.
Not it necessarily being like, oh, this is going to be the one, but I'm trying to reveal what this person is about or that person is about. So yeah.
It's funny you say that because um in James 4:3 it says, you ask you ask and you do not receive because you have the wrong motives, right? Like it's like you be like, Lord, this is the person for me. And I remember like I had quite a few gym crushes, but this one in particular, he was a Christian. He had other things about him that I was like, hey, yeah, like this is perfect. But God was like, no, in the end when it all came together. But what I had to have the experience of seeing it work out. It wasn't a direct no. It was like, let me show you why it's a no. And I think that process was having to be at all with God, because I'm like, oh, you were protecting me. Like just because he had the Christian title and qualities about him that I was just like, hey, this will make him a, a good candidate to be my boyfriend or whatever. God was like, you don't know him. And, but he, who do know him? God. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why you should bring things to prayer. You have a relationship with Jesus, like he really literally show you, he will literally protect you. So that you can understand why he's saying no. It is hard because it's like, again, being single and you think you meet your person. And again, I didn't even know him enough to be like, you are my person. But it was more of like the things that I wanted in a guy. He checked off some of those boxes, but in the long run, he definitely wasn't for me. So I would say trust the Lord and taste and see, and you will see how good he is and how much he loves you. And that person, one thing about the person is like you don't truly know them. You just know what you see, and then also what you could imagine who they are, but you don't like truly know their soul. And only one person knows that, and that is Jesus Christ. So thanks again, Jeremiah, for sharing your experience that you
Mm-hmm.
had, and I hope that you guys got a lot out of this. If you did, I hope that you like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, bye.